What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner channel. It's a channel 100% dedicated to the Arsenal, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. And, well, at the moment, everybody wants to make out that we're some sort of laughing stock. Apparently, what we have done this season has been bottling in running Man City really close and being the only team to give them a challenge this season. Apparently, we should be ashamed of that. Apparently, a team like Manchester City, which has won 4 out of the last 5 Premier League titles, looks like winning 5 out of 6. There's battered teams all up and down the country to amass a huge points tally, which nobody thinks is going to drop any more points, even though they've got 7 games left to play. This juggernaut of a team assembled for twice what it cost to put our team together, with arguably the best manager in football at the moment. We should be embarrassed. We shouldn't be congratulating ourselves that an unfancy team managed by a Arteta, who everybody said was inexperienced. We shouldn't be proud of the progress. We shouldn't be proud that this is our best performance in 10 years. We shouldn't be proud of the fact that we've got Champions League for the first time in 6 years. We shouldn't be proud of any of our achievements. We should just be laughed at by everybody. Paddy Powell wants to send bottles, giant bottles, to our stadium because we apparently lost to Man City. We had a £2 million Rob Holding playing at centre-back. They had two £50 million centre-backs on their bench. Their bench probably cost more to put together than our entire first team. We should be embarrassed. And who's telling us we should be embarrassed? Well, it's not really City fans. I've got a lot of time for City fans. Look, I'll be honest. I think Kevin De Bruyne is one of my favourite players in the world. And at the moment, at 31, I hope and believe that Odegaard could still become as good as that. He has everything in his locker. But these are players who have won and won again, but they've come from disappointment. Man City have done it by learning. Pep didn't win the first season. This is a juggernaut of a team. It's like if Rocky IV. If you haven't seen Rocky IV, how have you not seen Rocky IV? Watch Rocky IV. In Rocky IV, if you haven't seen it, I can't believe there's people out there that might not have seen it. The entire Soviet state wants to prove itself on the world stage. They choose boxing, because no one's watching chess, but they choose boxing, and they decide that the entire machinery of the state is going to go behind this one boxer, Ivan Drago. He's like this monster, and he's got all the resources and all the best coaching equipment and everything. And up against him, the freedom and the individuality of the United States produces Rocky, who's an unfancied southpaw, and he has to go and fight this in Russia with a hostile audience, and he has nobody with him, and he has to train in the Siberian snow, running in boots and lifting logs as training. And in the film, of course, Rocky wins. But it's a film. That's the point. In real life, Rocky gets killed. And this is real life we're dealing with. And we are still in it, by the way. We haven't lost yet. And we bottled it because we lost to City and we drew with West Ham and we drew with Liverpool. And look, those results haven't been good enough, particularly the draw against Southampton, which was a low point for us all. And I think that it's fair to say that our team choked a little bit. But here's what I really want to bottle. If we're talking about bottling it this season, this is what I really want to bottle. I want to bottle 2023. Not just for the effervescent football we've played, the free-form, goal-scoring, the emergence of players like Martinelli and Saka to really make a case for themselves on a world stage, the presence of Odegaard, Jesus and his skills, Zinchenko redefining how left-backs play for us, Saliba being elegant and Ramsdale flying at times, Ben White's position at right-back, arguably making him the best right-sided defender in the country. I think that I want to bottle this season because this season is a vintage season for Schadenfreude. Chateau Schadenfreude 2023. Years from now, we will be going into our cellars and pulling a bottle of that out and thinking, do you remember the year that Chelsea spent £600 million to just about avoid relegation? We think. We're not sure yet, but we think they will avoid relegation just. They haven't reached a magic 40 points, but who knows? They might get a draw against us and get to that magic 40 points. We are being laughed at by Chelsea fans who have nothing else to laugh about, to be honest with you. I spent yesterday I should have been making a video, but I was having too much fun. I went into Spurs fan pages on Facebook and I was bantering with them. They're laughing at what we've done this season. This is a club who in the last 20 years have won a League Cup and, as somebody pointed out, and an Audi Cup. You probably need to go and look that up, because what is an Audi Cup, right? They've won a League Cup and an Audi Cup in the last 20 years. Their own manager this season did a press conference resignation where he said this is a history of failure. This club has nothing going for it except a history of failure. And he was out the door. He couldn't wait to leave. This is a team whose chairman saw that happen and thought, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave his assistant in place. A team that went 5-0 down in the first 20 minutes and calls us bottlers. A team that's been in the top 4 all season somehow and now looks like it'd be lucky to get any kind of European football at all. A team with nothing going for it. Their last league title was closer to the Victorian age than it is to the modern age. That's absolutely a case. Their last league title was about 10 years before man walked on the moon. And they're laughing at us because we didn't beat Man City. We beat them home and away, but they're laughing at us. Would you swap with Tottenham? Currently, their manager is somebody who, well, he's not qualified as manager. He was the assistant to the assistant. They've had more caretakers than Scooby-Doo. They're laughing at us. They're telling us we crumbled. I was like, well, if we crumble, if we are the crumble, which is the best bit of the dessert, by the way, but if we're the crumble, what are the soft, sour fruit that we're sitting on? Who wants to be the rhubarb? Look, we have a story this season. Everyone's jealous of us. Our fans were up for it this season like they haven't been in years. Really got behind the team. We've had so much to be excited about. The game against Man United, the win against Brentford, so many high points. But 2023 is a vintage year for Schadenfreude. 2023 is the year that Man United got thumped 7-0 by Liverpool. That'll go in there as well. Now, look, I know Man United won the League Cup, and I'm not going to get into the debate. Is it better to be... Would I right now swap winning the League Cup with where we are in the league with the slimmest sort of 8% chance of winning the league? No, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. That's just me. You can think differently. It's all about silverware, silverware, silverware. It is, but it's more about the story. It's more about the progress, more about where we're going. This was a painful part of our process we have to get through in order to achieve. Chelsea spent £600 million on a squad and a half, too big to fit in a dressing room. They got 1 goal in the last 5 games. Imagine that. Imagine if Arteta had spent £600 million. There's worse things than bottling it. This is the thing that bothers me. Tottenham never bottled it, apart from, the greatest achievement in their last 20 years outside of a League Cup is the fact that they got to a Champions League final and presumably coming second is bottling it. They bottled it. That's their greatest achievement, bottling it. Maybe, actually, I'm taking this the wrong way. Maybe everyone's bigging us up by telling us we're bottling it. Maybe that's an aspiration for a Tottenham fan. I'd love to see us bottle it. I'd love to see us be so close that we might win something and not quite win it, because for the last 20 years, all I've seen us be is not quite close to winning it. 2023... Look, I got no hate for Liverpool. I have a lot of respect and love for Liverpool. Honestly, it goes back when I was first watching football and Arsenal were a dreadful, no ambition, no title challenging team. I used to sneakily watch Liverpool and wish I could be a Liverpool fan. But you don't choose your club chooses you. And so I do. I have sympathy for Tottenham fans that still go to the matches. I mean, it's not like people really go to Chelsea matches. They've got an average attendance of 40,000. So they're not a big club. I remember 20 years ago, or whenever it was that Roman Abramovich took over, I was secretly hugely gutted because I'd lived through Ken Bates as their chairman. He was a bit of a laughing stock. And then Matthew Harding tragically died in a helicopter crash, but just as it looked like he was going to invest in this team. And I remember thinking, well, it wasn't common that foreign billionaires take over football clubs then. I think he was the first. But when he took over, I remember saying to one of my closest friends who's a Chelsea fan, and to give him his credit, a proper Chelsea fan, one that used to go in the early 80s where it was a den of racism and horrible, vile place to go. I mean, the football was dreadful. They were in the 2nd division. So somebody who earned their stripes as a Chelsea fan. I don't understand why anyone would support Chelsea, but, But I remember saying to him at the time, it's all very well having this billionaire take over. What happens when he goes? And chickens are coming home to roost, because you can have a billionaire like Roman Abramovich who I think, he's just said, I don't know anything about football. I'm going to hire all the best people to take care of the football. I want to win things. And if you don't win things, I'm sacking you. Ruthless, disloyal, not exactly family oriented, but if all you care about is trinkets and silverware, then that's what you got. But now you got Todd Boehly comes in, Schadenfreude 2023. Thomas Tuchel comes in after Lampard, and you have to say, takes the reins, wins the Champions League, wins 4 trophies in a single year, and then Todd Boehly sacks him for, amongst other reasons, and this has come out recently, but apparently because Tuchel wouldn't allow Todd Boehly and his kids in the dressing room at half-time. He sacked him. But he replaces him with, Graham Potter, which, as somebody who watches a lot of Brighton games, I thought, okay, he's building for the future. And then he dumps all these players on him. Now, obviously, Graham Potter had no choice but to try and amalgamate into some sort of super team. All those egos, everybody wanting to play, 30-something players all wanting to play first-team football. There's 11 players on the sidelines if you're playing a training match, 11v11. So how you make all those players happy, and it was a challenge too far. It's probably a challenge too far for Pep Guardiola, to be honest with you. But for Graham Potter, completely out of his depth. And you could see it. Well, we could all see it, but Todd Boehly couldn't see it. So having replaced one of the more successful managers in recent history with a project building guy, held on till it was obvious to everyone but him, apparently. And then what's he replace him with? He goes back to Frank Lampard. It's a man who was terrible at Everton. And sure enough, I have a massive amount of respect for Rory Jennings, by the way, but I was stunned when he came out. Immediately, Frank Lampard was appointed and said, this is great. We can all rally behind the hero who's Frank Lampard. Well, how's that going for you? If you manage to get a point against us, which, could happen, stranger things have happened. We're not in great form at the moment. But if you don't get battered by us, you get that point. At least you're not getting relegated this season, theoretically. 600 million quid to avoid relegation. Brilliant year for Schadenfreude. It's a delicious year for Schadenfreude. So I'm bottling that. And in the coming years, when I do think we're going to win things, I do think we'll add to this squad. I do think some of our players just maybe don't have quite what it takes to push us over the line, which is fair enough. It's a relative shoestring, cost half as much as Man City's team. And we've only just started this process. They've been on this process for a lot longer. I think Haaland has come in and done what no one really expected him to do. I mean, we knew he was a good player. He's been talked about for a couple of seasons, but he's come in and he's breaking records left, right, and Chelsea. And I don't really like the way he plays, but I'm not a City fan. But I tell you what I do like. I do love watching Kevin De Bruyne. And he was too good for us. On Wednesday night, that Man City team, it was men against boys. But boys grow into men. We've got history to be proud of, but we've also got a process which is delivering for us. It's a little bit like walking into a kitchen when someone's cooking something and going, I don't like it yet. You have to wait. And all of the angry channels, the league gunners going, oh, I'm fuming, I'm angry. What are you angry about? Who's upset you? Why are you so angry? Get some perspective. You're angry about the best season we've had in 10 years. Well, all right. Well, let's sack everyone and start again, shall we? You'd call it the Tottenham-Chelsea method. Look, am I disappointed that we didn't make a better fist of it against Man City? Yeah, of course I am. Of course I am. But this is real life. You don't get everything you want straight away. There's a process here and there's a process involved. And did I agree with all of it? Would I have played Rob Holding? Probably not. I do like Rob Holding. I just don't think he's a Premier League winning centre-back. He's played 96 games in the last 6-7 years, so no one really thinks he's a first choice for us. He's probably not second choice if everyone's fit, and I think we need to upgrade and maybe to buy a couple of players that can elevate that position. I think, and this is going to be controversial, but I think Thomas Partey went missing in a big match, and that's not the first time it's happened. Maybe Granit Xhaka wasn't fully fit, but I can imagine us upgrading that midfield. Should Trossard have started? Yes, quite arguably. Yeah. We did see Emile Smith-Rowe, and I do hope that he stays. We have so much to build on. We have great foundations. We are ahead of where we're supposed to be, and we have Champions League football to look forward to. If this is what bottling it feels like, well, then I'm not in a hurry to swap with any fan in the country. I mean, in Newcastle, yeah, they got to a final. Did they bottle it? They got to a final in the FA. They got to final in the League Cup. Is that bottling it? Why isn't anyone calling Newcastle bottlers? What about Man United? Did they bottle it against Sevilla? Well, I mean, they had to play Harry Maguire, so they're starting a goal down to begin with. But, is that bottling it? Should I wish I was Man United? I don't wish I was anyone. I don't wish I was a Man City fan. There is something great about what's happening at Arsenal at the moment, and it's not bottling. But if we're going to bottle things, I'm bottling Schadenfreude. I'm bottling the feeling of looking at all these people who are taking the mickey out of us, or trying to, because frankly, if there's one thing more Spursy than the way Spurs play football, it's their banter of their fans. It's the Spursiest thing ever. I'm not wishing I was a Spurs fan. Having to go to the London, what is that stadium called? It's not White Hart Lane, the Tottenham Stadium. The Beyonce Stadium, the NFL Stadium, Chelsea. I used to go to matches at Chelsea and hate it back in the 90s. I saw. It's the only place I've seen racism in football, and I'm going way back. I know it's not there now, and I'm not. We've got to stamp it out of all football, and thankfully it is better, but it's not quite there yet. But it was a horrible place to go. I remember seeing Chelsea play against Real Betis in the Cup Winners' Cup, and one of the fans behind stood up and started giving Finidi George dog's abuse for being black. And thankfully, this huge skinhead Chelsea fan stood up and told him, in no uncertain words, to be quiet. And I was really proud of that. And so I know that 99.9% of all fans are good people that don't resort to this kind of mindlessness. But that's one of the reasons I couldn't stand Chelsea then. And it's hard for me as an older guy to forget where they've come from. Crappy team that they were. And I'm glad that having bought all this success, that they're now playing with fire. They've got an owner that does not know you can't play a 4-4-3. He did not know that you could be eliminated from the Champions League and not qualify. I'm not sure he understands the offside trap. I don't know how it's possible that he thinks that the smart thing to do is bring in Pochettino. I don't think Pochettino's going to work at Chelsea. I think when it comes to managing Galacticos, he had his chance at Paris Saint-Germain and it didn't work out for him there. Chelsea fans only know one thing. They know success. If they don't have success, they've got nothing else to be grateful for. They don't even turn up to watch success, so they're not going to keep turning up if Chelsea continue to do this badly. And then who's going to want to buy it off Todd Bowley? Anyway, I'm bottling it this year. Schadenfreude. Chateau Schadenfreude 2023. Schadenfreude Shiraz 2023. That's what I'm bottling. And I suggest you all bottle it as well, because in the next couple of years, we will win things and we will be able to celebrate those wins with a nice glass of Chateau Schadenfreude 2023. Anyway, I'm going to go diving straight back into a Tottenham fan page, see if I can bait some more of them into an argument about whose team is best. And it's really interesting. There's even Spurs fans in there having a go at their own fans, going, we're an embarrassment, and you kind of are. Well, you know you are. Anyway, I'll see you really soon. Until then, be lucky and lots of love.